So here I am on my warrior again, working my system, trying to finish up my mercenary and partisan quests on this particular character. I only have this zone left and the bugged quest that is in Akivan, the third partisan quest. Something like trust is not a given, which is currently bugged, will hopefully be fixed on the next upcoming patch on the 15th is what I'm guessing. I don't know. I didn't bother to check it. Let's see. Had a great Memorial Day weekend. Big barbecue. Lots of relaxation. It's the end of the month, so I've got billing to do tomorrow, going through and getting out invoices so everybody can get paid. I'm really enjoying the warrior. I have had to acknowledge, maybe even reluctantly, that clearly the Shadow Knight is the stronger group tank. I've done amazing things on the Shadow Knight. They're just shocking. You know, when clerics go down, when you don't have a healer, Mortal Coil, the Shadow Knight Epic, you know, all of that is just incredible. And at one time I was grouped with a cleric, just a cleric and myself, on a Shadow Knight, and I had 7 blue to yellow mobs. And I don't know how the Shadow Knight, we managed to survive it. I'm not sure that would happen on my warrior. And partly, he's got stronger weapons, much stronger weapons. He has raid weapons, Knight of Shadows raid weapons. That makes a big difference. But otherwise, the Shadow Knight has been my prized possession for a long time. Shadow Knight and the Necromancer. And so I've gone through in the Augs he's got. He's done all of the progression for all but the last couple expansions, and that makes a difference. This character hasn't had that love and attention. He's still working on Type 5s. He's still got some Augs they're all good. I mean, he's got a decent Aug set, but I think it can be stronger. I spent yesterday working on his Anguish breastplate because this character did not have the Anguish breastplate. When I say I spent yesterday, let's see, I started in the evening, went to bed around 2 in the morning, got up around 6, and finished it off around 10 a.m. Part of that was factioning. There are some dubious techniques to get faction really quick. One is the simple buying the faction potion, which only costs 270 Daybreak cash if you're already gold, right? Because you get the 10% discount. So double factions, I think that's well worth it in this case. You're only going to have to really hard faction a couple times in your EQ career. Empires of Canark had some faction work. And then getting your Anguish breastplate, you know, a lot of faction work. But there are exploits you can do. One is, I think, almost a legitimate. It's basically taking off all your damage shield, keeping your back to a certain mob, and killing mobs over a period of hours. The other is, I think, maybe a little too exploit even for me. And so I don't do that particular technique, but you can get your faction fairly quick. And there's other techniques. There's, you know, just Google it and it'll tell you how to get your faction. Let's see. So, you know, we're just wandering the zone, killing mobs. As I said, the Shadow Knight does seem like a stronger class in the group context. I mean, I can't.
Shield fades.
And there's my audio triggers. I can't handle pulls in the same way that a Shadow Knight can. The healing is basically like having 2 clerics. One is Shadow Knight heals, and then if you've got a cleric or cleric merc, they're healing. And the Shadow Knight will out-heal the cleric. So, warrior's tough. I can definitely tank a lot of stuff. I think the DPS for a warrior is a bit higher than a Shadow Knight, but that's really hard to say. It's apples and oranges. A lot of people say the Shadow Knight has higher DPS. I'm not convinced of that, but it's the weapons. It's hard to tell. The key thing about the warrior is when I've got one mob, this is just a very chill, low-key way to play a character, and I'm really happy with the setup I've come up with right now. It's not perfect for everybody, but it's working pretty well. So here I'm about to do one of those elite warrior pulls, brought in another mob. Pretty quickly, you'll see that I have to do my AE aggro. And here's the problem. I've been moving my keys a little bit, and so I had no idea where I had put my AE keys immediately. Now, I go like, oh, there they are. And once you've got them, it's no problem. You can... Obviously, the Shadow Knight is higher aggro generating. I was with Shadow Knight the other day, and we were doing Heroes Forge mission, and we decided to both just tank the mission and kind of pull aggro back and forth, and I was able to hold aggro on my warrior, actually. Now, if it was... because these were single mobs, but it was like back and forth. It was kind of fun. And you'd see suddenly California's aggro is 100, then the Shadow Knight's aggro is 100, and California's 1, and vice versa. Or it'd be whoever had aggro at the moment, the other guy's at 97. It's just, just fun, messing around. It's, in the group context, play any tank you want. Paladin, Shadow Knight, Warrior. You will be able to tank anything and do a great job. It's just, if you are soloing, the Shadow Knight's stronger. If your healer goes down, the Shadow Knight will do better. That was one where I went down in a Heroes Forge mission, and in fact, everybody died in that mission except for the Shadow Knight at 50%, and he was in a pretty sure he was a raid geared Shadow Knight, but he just stepped up, and he'd been like low key, letting me tank, not taking aggro, perfect partner, and then everybody died. He just stepped up there, and the final boss mob in Heroes Forge mission was at, I'm going to say 54, 55%. It was over half, and no healer left, and he just, like a boss, he just tanked it and killed it for us. It's like, okay. And then Cleric zoned back in, rezzed everybody, and we opened the chest and got our coin and loot. But that was amazing. I'm always impressed. I'm not always the strongest player, and this guy did a great job. And he's just so low-key the rest of the time, not taking aggro, perfect partner. Here I'm handling, I'm trying to figure out the warrior. I'm not perfect at it. Not a word, not a word. And then healer went down, I went down, everybody went down. So I'm pretty happy with the defenses. I got the Gladiator's chest guard, the Anguish breastplate. Very happy to have that done. I figured out how to set group roles, and so this is just a key to kind of do that, show it. I noticed I didn't have to do it, but adding these little... and here comes another elite warrior pulling. Here comes the mob. And getting the mobs, pulling the mobs, apparently not a problem. I have made some changes to my keys, as I kind of figure out improvements or how I want to handle it. And I could show you, but I'm not going to do it right here. The key thing is you don't really need to know all of my keys. If you go to that long, not the most interesting video I did on my warrior setup, it'll give you a hint of what we're doing and how we're doing it, how you can do it. And then just start figuring out what works for you. And I have gone up to something I haven't done. I've really tried to keep it to 6 hot bars, and now suddenly I'm at 2, 4, 6. I went to 7 just to give myself a little more room to do some of these administrative stuff on the hot bars. You know, I have a hot bar now that has all of my kind of ready, set, go, active, passive, block heals, unblock heals, group roles, invite. The things that you do over and over, I'm trying to find ways to avoid doing them over and over, so I don't have to type. I have an invite set up for the group that I group with routinely, and I make changes if there's 1 or 2 groups that are members that are different. I have group roles that I can set. Just trying to make the process of playing this game a little easier and a little less all about button pushing, which is a failure because this is all about button pushing. And right now, I'm pushing a lot of buttons, but I don't have to all the time. That is the nice thing about the warrior. He starts attacking. Dual wield is the prime stance. I'm in that all the time. If I go to two-handed, I am I'm going into DPS mode. With the Horatian Swarm, I went to two-handed because I was feeling cocky, and that immediately activates my onslaught, discipline, etc. Well, as soon as I did that, I got, the ad was on my cleric.
Impact fades.
And so I'm back to dual wielding. Hard to believe I'm still playing this game. And here comes a Relosian Lieutenant. That warrior pulling, isn't that great? So maybe I need to get that off of my cleric. My Thursday night group is a lot of fun. We're now in Empires of Canart. I'm 107.
End of the line fades.
And somebody in our group just made 110, and we're working progression there. And it's kind of fun to be working with progression and trying not to tell everybody what to do. Though Thursday, one of our group is going to be gone for a family commitment. So I'm going to be teaching our main tank how to main tank. We're going to spend some time doing that, and then we're going to work on gearing up, because one of the group is really into trade skills and has been working their trade skills up and making flagrant gear and that type of thing. And so he just hit 110. He's the one who's the most motivated about EverQuest. He's always online. I get on and see him there. And sometimes I drag him into Discord to chat with him. Did I almost die? No, I don't know what happened there. So I went to climactic stand here because it's 2 white mobs, 2 level mobs. They hit pretty hard. Checking my stuff, making sure that I'm able to stay up. And here comes a third mob. And this is the one where 3 mobs where you start going, I may not pull this one off. 3 mobs. And this is really where I start to feel the difference between the Shadow Knight, who has all the taps and heals and could have Mortal Coil going at this point, is epic, and the warrior. Now, if I was working with a regular healer, this wouldn't be an issue. But I'm working with a cleric, and my Shadow Knight has over 1,000 mercenary points. I told you that's the character I spent probably the most time on. This guy, I'm working on that. I think I've got him up now to about 236 mercenary points. But there's a big difference between 1,000 mercenary points and 200 mercenary points, and just and being able to tap and stuff like that. So. But as you see, the warrior is able to survive this. And that's back down to 2. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing about the warrior is he doesn't have a big burst potential. He's really solid in terms of DPS. He's kind of like if my necromancer was in a fast killing group, you know, where the mobs are dying faster than he has time to really let his dots bite in. That's about the level of DPS my warrior has, equivalent to the necromancer. But the necromancer can ramp up amazingly, and certainly if he was in this situation, he'd be doing a lot more DPS because his dots would have time to ramp. The difference is, I don't really want to be doing 3 mobs at once. I would have to start root rotting and kiting and doing a lot of game playing, whereas here you just stand like a man and take it. So let's see if we can get this second one down. I'm using Fortitude. I'm kind of using all my buttons here now too, partly just to use them. And while I don't want to have a button pushing approach to how I play the warrior, it also gives you the freedom to just kind of try different things, press different things. Brace for impacts up. I got to hit that down soon. There it goes. Okay, we got the back down to just 1 mob. I am trying not to watch the news or be apprised of what's going on in the world at this point. It's a little depressing. EverQuest is a little more fun. I got the warrior in a really nice guild right now where I can help people do things, group. That's my key is when I, just take somebody who needs some help getting gear or getting leveling or even maybe a little advice. It's nice. EverQuest is a social system, as I've said before. If you're not able to make connections with people, then there's other games that probably will provide more enjoyment. That's why I don't quite understand
end of the line phase.
Boxing 6 tunes, never mind. None of that. I box all the time. I box 3. Sometimes I can even do a 4th. But if I go to a 4th, I'm usually not I'm adding a 4th for like a mage, so I can port myself around when I'm doing partisans on all 4 tunes. 3 to me is the ideal number of tunes to box, and I've been really enjoying the warrior bard rogue mix. That synergizes wonderfully, and all of those tunes are very easy to just hit a few buttons and get a lot of effectiveness out of them. See if we can finish this little guy off. And so there we are. Turns out 3 wasn't that difficult. Just a matter of keeping all my defensive discs, etc. going. I'll talk to you guys later. Eclectic